So I love shooter weapons. It's a preference that started in the original Splatoon, where I usually rotated between the NZAP 85, splatter shot, and yes, the arrow spray. I know, what an oob. That's because I found them easy to use while providing a nice balance between inking and enemy battling. While playing Splatoon 2, however, I noticed that there was one weapon I dreaded facing off against the most. That would be those darn buckets, a weapon class known as the Slosher. There's just something about sloshers that I found oppressive and annoying to deal with. Maybe it's the huge globs of paint that they rain down on you. Perhaps it's their curving arc, which makes cover and elevated places that are normally safe from regular weapons suddenly splatable. Don't even get me started about sloshers parked from up on high. It's like trying to approach some dude who's spitting at you from a window. Man, what a royal pain. So I figured, instead of being on the receiving end of that pain, why don't I try inflicting it instead? This thought came about right when I hit level 15, which was perfect because that's when you unlock the Tri-SLosher. With its better handling and spread, I figured it would be the more ideal weapon to start with than the regular slosher, in case my accuracy wasn't up to snuff. After all, I was getting used to a weapon class I've only used in the campaign and Salmon Run, but never against live players. The Tri-SLosher is also better than the base slosher when it comes to inking, which is an important part of the game, of course. So, I entered my first match with the weapon and expected some growing pains. Instead, I splatted 6 opponents with ease. Turns out sloshing combined with ink armor is great for coming out on top during enemy encounters. That's coming from a guy, by the way, who usually prioritizes inking over seeking fights and plays cautiously. But gosh darn it, battling enemies with this weapon is so much fun. I thought to myself, imagine if I threw caution to the wind and became a more aggressive splatter. That's when I decided to double down on the Tri-SLosher's combat prowess by putting together a gear set that enhanced staying power and survivability. The result is a loadout that not only makes me win the greater majority of my one-on-one fights, but has even allowed me to survive 1-on-2, and in a few cases even 1 versus 3 scenarios. In fact, I noticed that I get so aggressive when I use this weapon and gear set combination that I've jokingly described it as the YOLO Bucket Build when my niece asked me about it. Ironically, my death count actually went down with the setup even though my kills went up. The only downside is that my inking is not as proficient compared to when I'm using the aerospray or the zapper. But hey, you only live once, right? Now, in building this set, I wanted to use gear that's relatively easy to acquire and didn't require hardcore scrubbing or ability chunks to use. So instead of obsessing over a specific type of gear, my main focus was getting certain abilities, mainly ink resistance up. In fact, the only gear-specific thing I wanted was having 4 ability slots on all my gear because it would be a waste to not have them otherwise. I also wanted one of the 3 pieces of gear to be an Inkline brand, because it gave me a higher chance of getting the only other ability I wanted multiple stacks of for this build, which is bomb defense up. Now here are all the skills that I have for this set. Up first is ink resistance up. When I think about the common reasons that I lose a fight, one factor is usually losing mobility when I get caught in enemy ink. This is especially an issue with weapons that require you to trade ink at closer range. I wanted at least 3 slots of ink resistance up to get a greater effect, so I decided that the easiest way to get that was using 3 pieces of gear that had it as the main ability. My first piece came in the form of a Headlamp Helmet from Salmon Run. Otherwise, I've also seen 4 slot hats at the store and on Inklings hanging out at Inkopolis Square that have it as a main ability. I got my second piece, the Pro Trail Boots, by ordering it from merch after seeing an Inkling wearing it at the plaza. This is important because it is made by Inkline, which is a brand that increases your chance of getting bomb defense up 5-fold. In my case, I got it in 2 of the 3 extra subslots without having to eat for it or use ability chunks. My last piece was a 4-slot Mr. Shrug Tee, which I found in Jalfonso's clothing store. One weakness that I admittedly have is that I don't use bombs enough. Others don't have that same problem and admit my fair share of bomb spammers. 3 stacks of bomb defense help you deal with that better. As an added bonus, this ability also helps reduce the damage from special abilities. Just keep in mind that it won't help you survive a direct hit from supers like a splashdown. So great for shaking off some of that splash damage from bombs and specials though. Now we have Ink Saver Main. I'm a big fan of this skill and try to get it in any set that I use. In fact, it was the last ability I unlocked in this YOLO set, and the difference without it was noticeable. Not only does it help you with inking, it also gave me just enough extra juice to reduce the number of times that I would run out of ink during a clash against enemies. By the way, if you want to increase your chances of getting it, use gear made by Splash Mob. Then we have Ink Recovery Up. I like this ability for the same reason I like Ink Saver Main. It basically lets you recover ink a bit faster, allowing you to get back in the action more quickly. Also in this set is Special Power Up. This lets you squeeze an extra second out of ink armor, which could spell the difference between being the splatter or being the splatty when clashing with a foe. Then we've got Swim Speed Up. Extra mobility is never a bad thing in Splatoon, whether it be for getting to specific points in the map faster, added agility during battles, or running away from a disadvantageous situation. As such, Swim Speed Up is always nice to have. And then last is Special Saver. I happen to get 2 of these without really aiming for the ability, but it's nice to have in case you get splatted before you could use your super, as it allows you to retain more of your special bar and have ink armor ready faster. Otherwise, feel free to have some other abilities here. Now after several battles with this loadout, I must say that I like how it can be both forgiving and brutal depending on a player's playstyle. If you're a less confident player or someone who plays cautiously, you would benefit from the extra mobility that Ink Resistance Up provides when trading shots with foes, as well as the spread of Tri-SLosher in case your aim is not perfect. Bomb Defense Up, meanwhile, can buy you just enough durability or time in order to finish off a foe or escape a bomb barrage. For confident players, this loadout definitely rewards aggressive play and gives you the chance to string together kills. By itself, the added survivability and mobility allows you to outlast foes. Throw in ink armor and you're almost guaranteed to come out on top in every fight that you start, unless your positioning is bad or you've got a really slippery enemy who knows what he or she is doing. Some foes even panic at the sight of you moving in with ink armor and throwing out a waterfall of paint from your bucket. In fact, most of my deaths when I use this loadout occur when I get ambushed, ganged up on, or simply get matched with a superior player. Do be warned that if you are used to a weapon like the arrow spray, you'll have to work harder when inking with this weapon. When I use an arrow spray or even the end zap, I almost always place first or second after a match because I can ink a lot of space quickly without even really thinking about it. When using this YOLO setup, specifically with the bucket, I usually place first or second in kills, but don't rank high overall like I used to post-match because my inking isn't as good. I mean, it's okay, but I really have to consciously think about inking when I'm using this. If you want to enjoy the thrill of the fight while impressing your foes with a bucket, however, this set is a lot of fun. Lord knows how many times I've surprised enemies by arcing my shots while they think they're safe at an elevated spot, only for them to get splatted by the falling ink. Certainly not for everybody, but give it a shot and see if it works for you. By the way, do you have a set that you love and would like to share? Make sure to put it down in the comment section. Once again, this is Tabi Asobi, and thank you for watching.